Okay. Show me.
Hi there, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the DutchRC channel. And what have I got for you today? I've got an old quadcopter for you today. What? Yeah, this is a quadcopter that I built, assembled and put together with electronics a few years ago. It is a Quanum from Hobby King XJ470 Quadcopter with brushless motors, and I'm not sure if that's visible in the video, but it has nice carbon fiber propellers, so that's very nice. At this moment though, it doesn't have a flight controller. So yeah, it doesn't do a lot of flying at this moment. I used to have an APM flight controller in this quadcopter, and that worked pretty well, but I was kinda a little bored with that. I was done with it. I wanted to try my hand at an iNav configuration, so I'm gonna be using an F3 flight controller in this quadcopter now. Now, I could of course simply slot in a new flight controller and call it a day. That will probably work, but I want to update a few things as well. Some things that didn't sit right with me anymore. The main thing is how the ESCs are mounted. Probably not really visible to you, but there are slots underneath the motors, brackets, frames that can house ESCs. However, the ESCs in this quadcopter were too big, so they are all mounted inside of the frame here, and it's an enormous mess. It is. I'll take the top off in a minute for you, so you can see that mess. And yeah, you can laugh about it all you want. That's okay with me. This was one of the first quadcopters I built a few years back, and it works. But yeah, it's a mess, and I want to deal with that right away now. Besides that, it doesn't have a PDB at all, and I want some 12 volts and 5 volts outputs as well for instance a gimbal, lighting and such. Okay, let me take the top plate off for you, so you can see the current inners. So, and here are the guts of this quadcopter, and I think I didn't lie when I said this is a mess. It's a real mess. And part of the reason for that is that this quadcopter has foldable arms. It's a bit flimsy this way, by the way, with the top plate off. So if you rotate, for instance, this arm on back, you need a little leeway in the wires, so they have some room for that rotation, right? Now, in my rebuild, I won't be considering that extra slack in the wires again. Simply because I never really folded up anyway. It was a nice idea, but no, I'm not going to be doing that anyway. Okay, and apart from that, you see here in the inners ESCs, obviously. These are 20 amp ESCs from Hobby Wing, decent ESCs, and I'll probably reuse those in maybe airplane scratch builds. Okay, and there's a BEC over here to power the flight controller and the receiver. Like I said, I'll be installing a power distribution board this time, so I won't need this BEC anymore. That's nice, that'll save a bit of space. And apart from that, can I actually show that? Let's try. So yeah, this quadcopter now doesn't have a power distribution board. It has a power distribution harness that I just soldered up. It has an XT60 over here and a wire splitter which runs to all ESCs and that BEC. Yeah, it's a wire mess, that's what it is. So what I'll be doing next, oh by the way, it also has this secondary wire harness which would plug onto the balance lead of my LiPo. This provides me with 12 volts, right, for some LEDs that are on the front arms and for the gimbal and FPV gear. So I won't be needing this secondary harness anymore either. This was actually convenient, because I could power on the quadcopter without powering on the FPV gear, for instance, if I'd so want to. I won't have that benefit anymore after my rebuild. Oh well, you can't have everything in life. I want this new rebuild to be reasonably clean. Okay, so what I'll do next is I'll go and install the new electronics. Oh, by the way, let me show you what I got for this rebuild. Okay, this might actually be more than you were anticipating in parts numbers. Let's see what I've got here. This is my new flight controller, which is an SP Racing F3 Deluxe. And for a normal racing quadcopter you wouldn't want or need the deluxe version. In this quadcopter I'm sure you can imagine that I want to have altitude hold. Right, so this flight controller has a barometer. It also comes with a plastic encasing, by the way, which is nice because this quadcopter's frame doesn't really have mounting points for standoffs and such. So I'll be mounting this flight controller, which has a lot of ports, as you can probably see. That's nice because I probably want to add a GPS to it as well. So a very nice flight controller for this build, I think. I could have, of course, also gone with an F4, but a large quadcopter like this doesn't need a fast processor at all. Okay, the second thing you see here is actually a Foxeer Monster version 2. A high resolution CMOS, yes, CMOS camera. And version 2 means that this one has an OSD built into it. The power distribution board I'll be using does not have an OSD, so this comes in handy. I'll constantly have a feedback on my battery's voltage this way. Very, very nice. Then there's this Maytag power distribution board, which has a 5 volt and a 12 volt output. Apart from that, oh yeah, and it comes with an XT60 connector, thank you very much. Apart from that, it's not a spectacular power distribution board, but these Maytags are reliable and that's what we want here. And over here you see 3 LED strips which are programmable. I'll probably use these at the back of my quadcopter to tell me what's going on with the quadcopter. Give me some status feedback. And over here are my new ESCs, which are DES XS30A. So a slight step up in amperage, and it is overkill for this quadcopter. It won't run more than 15 amps per motor, maybe 20, but 30 amp is overkill, which I wanted. I will have to desolder all these wires because I need longer wires on this quadcopter. But these are a lot smaller than I had in the quadcopter, really a lot smaller. Yeah, that's the advantage of a few years of progress. Okay, and oh, these ESCs come with these protective plastic cases. I probably won't be needing those, but we'll see, we'll see. I'll also do a separate video, a review of this Foxeer Monster version 2, by the way. An interesting new FPV camera, I think. I've already reviewed the version 1 of this Foxeer Monster and that worked out very well. So I'm anxious to see how well this one does. And with the magic of YouTube, we now have a completely different kind of quadcopter. Well, it's not a quadcopter yet, but I wanted to show you the revised inners. So PDB and motor wires running to them. The ESCs have gone, the BEC has gone. I did end up reusing that GST splitter cable, as you can see. With this I have 4 GST plugs, with which I can power a gimbal and FPV gear and LEDs and whatnot. So that's pretty convenient. And I have to add 2 wires, one to the 5-volt output to power my flight controller, and one to this VCC output, battery output basically. So the flight controller has insight in the battery's voltage as well. Alright, and another jump cut. I'm a bit further into this project. As you can see, the top plate of the quadcopter is installed. The FPV camera is up front over here, and the flight controller is sitting in its plastic encasing over there. So that's very nice. And at the rear I have a plastic self-made plate with the LED strips. Let me actually show that to you. 3 Maytag programmable LED strips, 8 LEDs in each, and I can set these to show status, or maybe GPS status once I've installed a GPS into the quadcopter, and that's all very nice. And the problem I had is that the flight controller is behind this panel and it has the USB connector at the rear. So this door plate thing is a bit in the way of the USB connector. So I've only mounted this plastic plate on the left, and I can swing it on open like so, giving me access to the USB connector. That's very nice. There's no real stress on this plate at all. So this should work out just fine. Now, above all this will sit this plastic, glass fiber actually, plate. I'll laminate the bottom of this plate with copper tape, because once I've installed a GPS antenna over here, I don't want electrical interference to that antenna. And I'll probably mount my FPV gear somewhere over here. I'm not sure yet. Neither am I sure where to mount my receiver, but I'm sure I'll work that out. That won't be a problem. Okay, so that's most of the work done. I'll go and install the propellers now, and we'll take this quadcopter up for a remaiden flight. Here we go.
Okay, so I've got the quad out. And we have a swan as a spectator over there. Let's hope we don't chop the swan to pieces. I have not done any tuning. This is really the first time I tried a quadcopter. And at this moment I have beta flight on the flight controller. Simply because that's what I know, right? Once it flies well, I probably will be converting it to iNav, but for now I just want to see if it flies at all. So let's stand well back, safety first. And it does arm. There's far more wind than I would have liked, but well. Okay, the takeoff was a bit dicey, as you could see. I think I should raise the minimum throttle or RC input a little. Can you, by the way, see the LEDs at the rear? They are really nice and bright. It drifts a lot to the left, by the way. Probably due to the wind, so that's okay. It hovers pretty well. As mentioned, I have not done any tuning. Ooh, that was... what the hell was that? That was a weird hiccup. Okay, I've got it recording black box data, so I will be able to watch that back. That looked peculiar. Yeah, there's far more wind than I would have liked. But well, what do you know? It flies. Quite a lot more stable again, as I would have anticipated. Damn man, why is it so windy? An hour ago it was no wind at all. Okay, I'm gonna cut this test flight short due to the wind, but so far this looks reasonable. The minimum throttle needs to be raised a little. Other than that, it looks quite alright. Okay, so far for this project in this video. Next thing I'll do is of course test the FPV stuff. And as mentioned, I'll probably do a separate video about this video camera, this FPV camera I mean. And if that all works well, I'll add a gimbal and an action camera to the quadcopter as well. Yeah, it wiggles around a little. I think I should lower the D a little. But again, it's not as bad as I had anticipated, really. Okay, thanks for watching, of course. Hope this was entertaining and or informative for you. And hope to catch you on the next video. Bye bye.